Gran Turismo 7 is a good game, but it's arguably not a great game yet. Released over 3 months ago now, Gran Turismo 7 received rave reviews at launch, but problem after problem since then has created bumps in the road. From credit nerfs to force feedback nerfs, the game is constantly being tweaked as Polyphony tries to find the right balance. Thankfully, recent updates have improved the game's economy, and Gran Turismo 7 is a much better game for it, but there's still room for improvement. Don't get us wrong, we do think Gran Turismo 7 is a good game, it just hasn't quite lived up to its promise yet. I'm Mark from Racing Games, and here are some changes we think will make Gran Turismo 7 the classic it deserves to be. Hopefully many of you will agree with the majority of these points, so let's get into it. Gran Turismo 7 brings back the traditional single-player campaign, something that was notably absent in the online-focused GT Sport. Browsing the used car classifieds for a cheap runabout, tuning it up and turning it into an overpowered monster evokes memories of classic Gran Turismo games. On paper, the campaign sounds like a return to form, but progression is linked to the GT Cafe, a new location where you complete menu books to progress. Each menu book has an objective to complete, such as winning races to collect a specific group of cars. As a tutorial for guiding new players on their Gran Turismo journey, the GT Cafe is brilliant, but it's mandatory when it should have been an optional tutorial. Surprisingly, core features like split-screen multiplayer are locked until you complete the required menu book several hours into the game. Once the GT Cafe is completed, there are only a handful of campaign events to complete, leaving you with very little to do. Gran Turismo 7 has some great cars, but there are often no events to race them in. This lack of content makes the campaign feel incomplete. Campaigns in previous Gran Turismo games engrossed players for hundreds of hours, but Gran Turismo 7's replayability is limited if you don't race online. Most players who bought GT7 on day one will have likely seen everything the game offers by now. Update 1.15 added new events, including races for Group 1 cars, but a bigger variety of events are needed to keep players coming back for more. Since the series' inception in 1997, Gran Turismo has featured some of the most memorable and well-designed fictional circuits in any racing game, from the high-speed ring to Trial Mountain. Gran Turismo Sport was criticised for removing these fan-favourite circuits. Thankfully, High Speed Ring, Deep Forest Raceway and Trial Mountain have returned in Gran Turismo 7. It's a good start, but there are still too many classic tracks missing in GT7. We'd love to race around new versions of classic tracks like Midfield Raceway, Apricot Hill, Autumn Ring and Special Stage Route 5. With 4K textures and more realistic lighting effects, these old tracks would look stunning in Gran Turismo 7. GT7 was marketed as a celebration of the series' 25th anniversary, but it needs more legacy content to fuel our nostalgia. To some, Gran Turismo 7 feels more like GT Sport with a campaign tacked on, so little are the callbacks to previous Gran Turismo games. Before we move on, have you subscribed to Racing Games yet? Just one click and you're on the Racing Games grid. Oh, and hit that notification bell too so you never miss an upload. Alright, on with the video. Gran Turismo 7 launched with over 400 cars. That's less than half of Gran Turismo 6's car roster. However, unlike Gran Turismo 6, every model is premium quality and was built from scratch. However, the car list is outdated compared to other racing games. We've covered this subject before in a previous video, but we're doubling down on this now. Only a small handful of cars like the 2023 Nissan Z, 2022 Genesis G70 and 2021 Toyota GR86 are newer than the 2021 model year. Modern performance cars you can drive in Forza Horizon 5 like the Aston Martin Vantage, Ferrari SF90 Stradale and the McLaren 720S are sorely missing in Gran Turismo 7. Ironically, the F122 supercar list is more up to date than Gran Turismo 7's. On the other side of the spectrum, Gran Turismo 7 needs more normal cars to balance out the car list. At a time when most racing games focused exclusively on exotic supercars and sports cars, racing everyday cars your parents drove like the Ford Ka, Toyota Corolla and Peugeot 206 made the first two Gran Turismo games unique. Normal cars were reduced in recent Gran Turismo games, especially since the Vision GT program was introduced. At the time of recording, there's also no option to sell cars. Back in April, Kazunori Yamauchi promised this option coming in a future update. The ability to sell cars was even mentioned in the official game description on the PlayStation Store. 3 months on and we're still waiting. Hopefully this feature arrives soon, as it will add an interesting new element to car collecting. So we've covered our main gripes, but let's also take a look at some of the smaller issues we think need looking at still. Gran Turismo 7's daily races offer some of the best ranked online racing on consoles, but if you want to casually race with friends, the lobby options are surprisingly limited. At the time of recording, there is no option for hosts to change the track in online races without restarting the lobby. Not only is this inconvenient, it's inexcusable for a AAA title to lack this basic multiplayer feature. Stability issues are also still affecting the servers months after release. There is hope that Gran Turismo 7's bare-bones online multiplayer will be expanded, however. Options to change the track and race settings on the fly in online lobbies were recently found hiding in the game's code by a modder, but it's not clear when these options will be implemented. Next we have the camera. Gran Turismo 7's cockpit view provides the most immersive experience. Playing from the driver's perspective lets you admire the immaculately detailed car interior and get a better sense of speed. But some players prefer using the third-person chase camera positioned behind the car. This is the default camera in most racing games. It's the easiest viewpoint for beginners as you get a clearer view of rivals about to overtake you. But Gran Turismo 7's chase camera is far too rigid. It sticks to the rear of the car like glue. This has been an issue since Gran Turismo 5. Reducing the chase camera sensitivity does help, but it's still too stiff. The chase camera needs some kind of damper setting where a change of direction is gradually followed rather than the current jerky reaction. And while we're on the subject of camera views, an option to remove the wheel from the cockpit view or a closer dashboard camera would improve the experience for wheel users. Finally, we have vehicle prices. Getting Gran Turismo 7's in-game economy right is a tricky balance. On the one hand, grinding is a fundamental part of the Gran Turismo experience. You start with a low amount of money and can only afford to buy a cheap, crummy hatchback before working your way up. This gives a satisfying feeling of reward when you can finally afford your dream supercar. However, fans were outraged when credit rewards were significantly reduced in an update. Although more recent updates have improved the economy since then, the ludicrously expensive Legend cards feel unobtainable for even the most dedicated players. As part of Polyphony's partnership with Haggerty, the price of Legends cars has increased in line with real-world inflation. The Ferrari F40, for example, has increased from 1.35 million to 2.6 million credits. That's nearly double. Video games are about escapism, but most players will never be able to afford these Legend cars in real life, or Gran Turismo 7. The sad truth is, buying a car in Gran Turismo 7 right now is almost as hard as buying the same car for real. So these are the changes we think Gran Turismo 7 needs, but what do you think? We've seen plenty of different ideas and opinions in the past, but do let us know down below what other changes you'd like to see made. For now though, thanks for watching. I've been Mark from Racing Games, please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and now I'm off to set up my busking spot so I can finally afford to buy a Legends car. By my calculations, it should take me between 6 and 9 years before I can afford one. Oh wait, I forgot to carry the 1. Okay, it's closer to 12 to 15 years now.